Good afternoon, Flosstube. My name is Mandy. Welcome to my channel, all about cross stitch. Today is Friday, April 11th. My pronouns are she, her, and we're here to share some whips. Yeah, I never know what to say with these introductions. It's been a couple weeks since my last video. I hope you've been doing well. Hope you've been getting lots of stitching in. I don't even know what I've done the past couple of weeks. I've been working a bunch of overtime again. Still dealing with an annoying cough. I feel like it's getting better, but hopefully we don't get into any kind of coughing fits because, you know, I'm sitting here talking now. So, yeah. Definitely been working a bunch of overtime, stitching in the evenings when not working. I've actually been using my, I shouldn't say actually because it's nothing new, I guess. Breaks and lunches, I've been focusing on a particular piece or two, which I've got to share. Oh, got a haircut. That's what I did. Got that cut on Wednesday, so it very, very much needed. I had been for a little while on a habit of like every, I don't know, 8 weeks or 10 weeks getting it cut, you know, trimmed up and everything, and life and money and don't know what I wanted to do with it kind of thing. I just let it go. Talking to the gal that cut it, it was June of last year. That was the last time that I got it cut, and it's been a long time since I've gone that long. I guess her husband ended up seeing me as I was pulling out of, he recognized me as I was pulling out of a local grocery store, and he said, yeah, she's gonna be calling you pretty soon because her hair's getting really long. It was so funny. And I think something was also said of, well, she's not going anywhere else to get her hair cut. So I also noticed, because I had taken a little bit of a before picture, and I was noticing just how gray it was standing out. So I don't color my hair or anything. I embrace the gray. I'm good with it. But when it was longer, I think it definitely stood out more. So, yeah, stitching. I actually have a full finished object to show you. Not only did I finish a piece the other night, but then I also framed it. I'm hoping timing-wise, this is a gift for somebody, not even for any particular reason, just I wanted to stitch it, and I know she'll appreciate it, and she watches my videos. So Crystal, if you happen to see this before we have a chance to go to dinner tonight, which I hope not, you shouldn't be seeing this. We made dinner plans for her tonight, and I just finally got it finished. I'm just gonna give it to her, so no particular reason. Like not birthday or anything of that nature. Just, I started this thing back in 2022. In fact, when I was updating my little record book of when, like, finishing it the other night, I finished it on its 3rd birthday. This thing is way too small to have sat for 3 years. I think part of it is that there's some 1/1 stitching, and I stitch on Ada, so over 1 doesn't work. I'm good with doing quarter stitches and such like that, but with this being words, the over 1 portion of it, it wasn't working, and I was annoyed with trying to get it figured out, so I'm like, I'm just gonna back stitch it. So I finished Bendy Stitchies. Personal is political. You have not seen this on my channel because, again, my friend Crystal watches, and I've been planning on stitching this for her since I decided to start it, and so I didn't want to share that I was stitching something. But again, it shouldn't have sat this long. So I stitched it on a piece of color and cotton grab bag. So I want to say it's like a 14 count. So I don't have color name or anything of that nature. And I ended up getting the floss pack from Michelle, gosh, again, years ago. So it calls for 3 color and cotton and then some DMC. So I called for flosses. And yeah, so the over 1 portion is right here, and it's not showing up that well. The words are in a color and cotton, and it's a pretty variegated floss, and the portion that I had was pretty light colored, so that also isn't making it show up very well. But you know, the personal is political, and it always has been. So I ended up just back stitching it's probably not even going to focus well enough to see, but it looks good in person. It looks well enough in person. And so I cut it down. You can see I kind of fringed the edges a little bit. Cut it, taped it to a piece of scrapbook paper. And then I just added a couple stickers on with quotes that I thought were fitting enough for the topic. So this one is "A comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there." Oh, that's pretty fitting. And then this one right here is "It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do." It fits. And yeah, I had a frame in stash. I knew the cut of, because it's just like an 8x12 cut of material, that I wasn't going to be able to find a frame to just frame it as was. So I had a frame in my stash that I thought was pretty. And yeah, so that is my fully finished object. And a whip off of my list that shouldn't have been sitting there as long as it was. Something. So yeah, nice to have that finished, and I can't wait to give it to Crystal later. This cough. My next project, you've seen it before. I've been showing it a few times recently, from Just Got Stitched. This is August of 2017, and it's that old of a project. This is another one that it's been on my whip list way too long, but it also hasn't been a priority to finish. And so it's just been one of those of, you know, pull it out for a challenge or need some easy stitching. Well, I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm ready to have it finished, and we're getting there. So I have just this to finish. I've got this band that I'm working on, and then this big one, and then repeat of that. So Bergama borders, designed by Banu Demirel of Seba Designs. I am using the called for DMC. It is charted in a overdyed. I could not, first of all, I couldn't imagine doing this big of a piece in overdyed. Pretty simple colors, but it eats the floss. And it even called for either 32 count or 14 count. So to think of, and it even said that you would need 2 skeins of one color and 3 skeins of, well, 2 colors you would need 3 skeins of, 1 color you would need 2 skeins. I'm using DMC, and I've already lost count of the amount of skeins that I've used. So I couldn't imagine doing this in fancy floss. But there we go. Ooh. Sorry, I hit the little tripod thingy that my ring light is on. So here we go. I am stitching mine on a 16 count white Aida. Back when I started this in 2017, overdyed or hand dyed fabric wasn't really a thing. If it was, it wasn't my thing. I know I got into the like fabric clubs and such later on, so I was definitely using white Aida, and I really have a history of doing a lot of full coverage stitching anyways, that I would just use white Aida for anyways. So I can't imagine this would, I don't know. I don't know what I was gonna say. So I still have a little bit of red left to finish in here, and then that band will be done. And then, like I said, I've got just a couple more, one bigger band and then a repeat of this band, and then we'll be done. It is, like I said, it is the called for DMC. I know it's red and blue on white fabric. I did not choose the colors in terms of flag colors, I guess. And I don't see it as being, especially on the camera, definitely the red seems a little bolder in person, brighter, I guess. It looks pretty dark. It's a 816. And then 336 is the blue, and then just plain old black. So definitely will be excited to have this piece finished. And this is the piece that I've really been working on my lunch breaks. That lately I've been doing a bit of podcast listening, and so I'll turn a podcast on my lunch, and I am obsessed with Rachel Maddow right now, and so I've been listening to some of her older podcasts. I think I'm on the last of her available, because I watched or listened to Ultra. There was 2 seasons of that, devoured that, and then Bagman was another one. There was only a few episodes of that, so that one didn't take all that long. And then right now I'm listening to Deja News. Oh my God. Like I said, these are a little bit older. The crazy thing about Deja News is that she pulls incidents from years past, not even from our country in the past for some things, and comparing and, basically comparing to more recent incidents, and we're reliving history. That's all I can say, and it's not a good thing. So anyways, that's been my lunch. Stitching really has been working on that Bergama borders and enjoying that. Moving on, I pulled this piece out last night. Another piece that needs to get off my whip list. It's been too long. I think I started it in 2022. Country Cottage Needleworks Springbirds. I am doing my own conversion of this, and I decided last night I am cutting off the checkerboard. I may or may not do the flower border and leaves. I'm kind of planning on, at this point, just the middle portion of it. Again, I'm ready to have this thing done. So when I say my conversion, I went through my floss boxes of my overdyed flosses, Color and Cotton. There's a couple of Classic Colorworks limited editions, so basically I went through the picture, said, okay, I need a blue, I need an orange, I need a pink, I need a green, that kind of thing. In fact, the blue, there's like 2 different blues. I'm using one blue that's really variegated. Yeah, so here we are. So last night I had this flower, the top portion of the flower done, so I had to add the stem and the pot, the leaves in the pot, and then added the green grass at the bottom in here, and then I started a bird. I still have the floss on my needle. Again, this is just a Color and Cotton. In the past, it's been a while since I've purchased any. I kind of don't like these cuts anymore. It's like an 8x12 cut. They sell grab bags every once in a while. You got to sign up on Notify Me and buy as soon as you see the notification come through, because they go quick. They're cuts off of like when they do fabric clubs or whatever, and so you just get a pack of like 3 pieces. You don't know count, you don't know color names. Pretty sure you have the choice of either like Aida, linen, or even weave type of thing, but you don't know what you're getting in the pack. So I have no clue color name. I want to say it's a 16 count, the way it's stitching. And I'm ready to have it done. So this is as far right as it's gonna go. So I've got a bird. I've got one more treehouse and the flower again to do, and then we're gonna call it done. So maybe I can do that this weekend and get this thing done. I have no specific plans for it, probably a scrapbook or something if I even fully finish anything, because I don't seem to do a whole lot of that anymore. I like to stitch. I like the stitching process best. And so yeah, that is my spring birds. Again, just ready to have it done. Excuse me. This next piece, I'm not even really sure why I'm showing it. I really don't have a whole lot changed from the last time. This is the Forbidden Fiber Co. Empyrean Sal. I'm going to show the picture of what it is up to date. but I'm nowhere near it. So, here it is. This past drop was these 2 quotes. Oh, that would have been fun. So the first one is a Zayden quote. This is from really early on in 4th Wing. Rebecca Yaros, if you're not familiar with it. You're really a violent little thing. And then the second quote is, riders don't run, we fight. And that is a quote from Onyx Storm, the most recent. I won't get into explaining that one, but... So this is what's been dropped so far. I am still... Like I said, I don't know why I'm even showing this. Last time you saw it, I was working on the dragon. I'm still working on the dragon. That's all I've done is... In fact, I even still have, I'm pretty sure, the same length, maybe one newer length. Well, yeah, maybe it's a new length. I think I finished the last one that was on and then started another one and then put it down. So this is going to be Zayden's dragon scale. Taryn is the one that's over on this side. And then I'm sure Andarna's got to be added in there somewhere. Yeah. 18 count Forbidden Fiber Co. Feathertail is the material. I'm using called for flosses. I did get the whole kit. And speaking of that, I mentioned in my last video that my sister had, so a little bit of haul, but we're gonna skip ahead. My sister had gotten me the project bag that I had forgotten to bring over. So we've got the War College logo. I love their project bags. We've got a really cool zipper pull with a dragon. I have no clue if that's focusing. So I know they dye, so inside's just the same. They dye their bags and everything too, so I still have the floss in another bag. I just finally remembered to grab this and bring it over. Okay, I am on my lunch break as per usual, if you know me by now. Alrighty, next piece, the artwork I'm gonna share. If you've got littles or may not, or maybe at work kind of thing, and you may not need to be showing this kind of thing, I'm just gonna show the picture real quick. May not be the most appropriate. This is a retired artwork. It was a Heaven and Earth charted design. Bridget Ashwood is the artist. She's no longer with Heaven and Earth. The name of the piece is called Companions. I have no clue if this artwork is by available by any other charting company, but it's called Companions. Okay, that's down if you were needing to not see anybody. Yeah. If you weren't wanting a little to see it or anything like that. Where I have stitched is not the girl. So there's none of that. There's like 160 stitches more than what you would have seen last time. Again, probably not really worth sharing, but we are anyways. This is the upper left corner, still working in that background. Again, I still have a thread hanging. All of my projects had flosses that were on the front of the project when I was getting everything stacked together. Like getting the needle back through just to put it on the back so we don't have hanging flosses. In fact, that's what you're seeing right here. It's floss hanging to my needle. 16 count white Aida, 2 strands, full across. I think maybe 2 different colors got added in, if that. So just working on that marbly background. Okay, next piece is, again, I picked it up last, Saturday night? Yeah, Saturday evening. I don't think I even put it into it. Well, I think maybe I put 1 thread length into it. Artwork by Shaded Stitchery, charted by Shaded Stitchery. It is called Closely Kept Number 3. It's a mouthful for me. Oh, it's so pretty. And it is going to look absolutely nothing like that because of my floss and fabric. you can see that I've got a ring light on, but it doesn't seem to be picking up. It is a, the floss I'm using is Belladonna from Pirate and Robin. The material, I don't remember. It's a Bestitch Me. I've got another project and another whip stitching on it. I don't remember what this piece of material is. If you're curious, let me know and I can find out. Sandstorm? I honestly don't even know. In fact, I've already stitched a project on it and cut it out. So this piece looks really funny, but that's some of the best thing about the fabric of the month pieces. And again, this is probably why I really don't like the color and cotton grab bags anymore, because I'll just use a like my fabric of the month from Bestitch Me and just stitch a whole bunch of smaller projects on it. But make my own weird cuts of it, I guess. Again, I still have a floss hanging on it. This is, so when I picked it up, I think I was somewhere kind of in this curly Q, and so I would have done this and up here. So it was one evening, maybe 100 stitches or more, give or take. This may be a pretty quick video. Don't see me talking for 40 minutes. The last project that I have to share, my last project, my focus piece. I say it all the time too. See Opal. I'm doing the mini version, artwork by Elizabeth Walker, charted by Hay. I am so close to the 50% mark. I'm like 49.48% or something. The other day I did the math and I still needed like 700 stitches, I think, to get to the 50% mark. But man, is it looking good. I am adoring this piece. I am stitching it for my mom. She knows about it. In fact, I'm pretty sure she purchased some of the materials for it. Yeah. 16 count white Ada 2 strands full cross. How I do all of my full coverage, for the most part, I should say, because I do have a couple of full coverage pieces that are on 18 count. But for the most part, 14 count. I did end up, you saw this needle minder recently, it's a library. I did end up switching that needle minder. Plugging away at this page. I did not get a page finish since you saw it last. Not quite near enough another page finish. I don't even know necessarily what you would have. I think I was really focusing in, filling in a lot of, I don't know. This is what it looks like now though. I washed this grime guard. I love this grime guard, but I didn't see in the description or anywhere that it talked about this fabric being glittery. You can see it a little bit. You may even see some glitter across my project, because I can see it from here. So I threw it in the wash with some towels in hopes that that would get the glitter to fall off. It still didn't. It's still glittery. But it's pretty. And that is my sea opal. Oh. You know, I meant to mention this. This was going to be part of my intro. I am going to move the camera a little bit, my calendar, because I know Carolyn asked last time. Rapper's Delight. I'm going to turn around and read it. Camera's going back down. Oh. I said a hip hop, the hippie. You know, we gotta. I can't. Wrong way. Rabbit. I know Carolyn asked about the March one, and I looked before this. It was, Outcast. So fresh and, was it So Fresh and So Clean? Something to that effect. Oh, I do have another little project to show. I'm sure a lot of people have seen by now, people doing tail end projects. And so I decided to kind of jump on, but I'm doing something completely different from what I've seen anybody that I've seen do them has like selected a specific pattern to actually stitch, and what they're doing is when they have a color that they don't need anymore throughout their project, but they've got a little bit of a length not worth putting back on the bobbin or floss card or whatever, then they'll add into another piece. And so I'm doing something along those lines, but it's not necessarily just when I'm finished with a color altogether. Again, I do a whole lot of full coverage stitching. There's a lot of times where the floss gets down quite a ways, you know, my length after I've stitched, you know, is down, that may be worth a handful of stitches, but not really enough to worth putting back on the bobbin for the next time when, you know, I could be in a bigger patch where I'm going to need more than just a couple of stitches. So I decided to do something along the lines of the tail end projects, but using it doesn't mean that my tail ends are finished from a piece. It just means it's not worth putting back on a bobbin. So I just grabbed a piece of scrap Aida. So just plain white Aida. Again, I'm a full coverage stitcher. You can see that it's just kind of, right now, I'm not following any specific pattern. I'm probably not even gonna do the same thing through the whole piece. I started in the corner and I'm just doing diagonals, just zigzag back and forth. The back looks really fun. So my idea, I'm actually gonna cut it off before this because it's just a folded piece of Aida. What I'm wanting to do is actually cut it off before it gets to that fold line, make it nice and easy to, without having to do a whole lot of ironing. I want to fringe the edges. That's why I didn't give a whole lot of margin to it. Kind of similar along these lines with the, you know, zigzag, frayed edges, and make a, journal page out of it. So any project right now, the bulk of this is from Sea Opal. I'm sure you can pick up on the colors. I think that last color too is probably from Companions. So that grayish, purplish. I don't know if I'm going to stay in the diagonals all the time. I don't know if I'm going to do other little, it's going to be a makeup as I go, depending on lengths of flosses probably. So that's my little tail end project. Again, not following anything, just gonna do my own thing for, what is this, 4x6 maybe? Just something to use up floss that's really not worth putting back on a bobbin. Alrighty, that is all the stitching that I have to share. I got a couple little things of haul here. The first thing, so I finally got this package. It was postmarked with a date of January. So back at the end of the year, beginning of the year, well, it would have been around the time that the Canadian Post came off of their strike, because I know that's kind of when they would have gotten in the mail. I am a member of Deanna from Darling and Whimsy, of her Patreon. And at one point at the, like I said, end of the year, beginning of the new year, she put up little packs of zipper pulls. And I ordered a couple different packs, and wasn't coming in. I finally messaged her mid-February saying, hey, haven't seen these come through, just kind of touching base. She says, well, you know, they are still, you know, playing catch up after the strike. Let's give it another week and see if it comes in. If not, let me know and I'll send you replacements. Slipped in my mind, never thought about it again for a little bit. By the time I did think about it again, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about it. It's, you know, less than 20 bucks. Wasn't worth having Deanna send replacements, whatever. Last weekend, yeah, I think it was last Saturday, I went and checked my mail. Pretty pink package in there. I'm like, I don't remember ordering anything. It was the package from Deanna. I don't have the mailers in the garbage now. But I looked at the postage date, and it was like mid-January. this package was sitting somewhere. The only thing wrong with the package was she put some fun stickers on the outside of it, one of which was a bird, and the bird came headless. So, but otherwise, the package didn't look like it had been, you know, through the ringer or anything like that. And so they came in. So she packaged them up in these cute little baggies. Excuse the crinkling for a second. And I'm dropping them all over. So this pack was cats. So it is so cute. I don't know if I'm even going to be able to get it to focus. But it's a little tuxedo reading a book with a lamp. And so I could be able to make them into string. Zipper pulls. It's easier to flip the clip around, do something different with it. Zipper pulls or a scissor pull, something of that nature. We've got a little daisy kitty. Well, I don't know if those are daisies, but little flower kitty. And then, save the best for last, we've got about a black cat with some flowers. So that was one pack. And then the other one, she put some more stickers on that. I don't remember what this theme was. Might have been a mystery pack. She had them different themes or like a mystery. So this one is a raven or a crow. I wish I could figure out if that was focusing or not. We've got a butterfly and it's called a planchette. Is that the word? From like a Ouija board. I just realized it looks like a cat. There's whiskers. How cute. So, very cool that that finally showed up. No clue why it took so long, but it finally came in. And then also speaking of Deanna, every few months we get little physical gifties from Patreon. And this month we got Bertrand? Little B. She's got a couple different charts with them on it, but I can't remember what his name is. And we've got the little chicken stickers. And then she also included some buttons. I was trying to get it off. There's two different buttons right there, a smaller one and a bigger one. So that was the haul that I have. That's about all I got. Maybe a little longer than I thought I was going to be at one point, so yeah. Stitching. That's about it. I have not picked up any books to read. I haven't even, one of these days I'll get back into reading, and if you saw my bookcases, you would say that, yeah, you need to read. I've been obsessed with my stitching, what can I say? That's funny, because the one thing that I miss from actually working in an office setting was reading. On my lunches, there was a lot of times that I would sit and we had a little cafeteria style area, or I would just take my own lunch and sit, and there was a break room, that I would actually sit and read on my break. I sleep or I stitch on my naps. There's been a couple times, like just one day this week, I met my sister for lunch, and so that actually took getting out of my house. Oh, excuse me. I said nap, and apparently that's what I'm ready for. Yeah, I try to say, here's my plans. I am very much a stitch what you want when you want. I am gonna stitch on what calls to me. Now I am using Bergama borders and spring birds for a couple different Facebook challenges, but beyond that, I tend to just really stitch on what's calling to me. So like I said, with spring birds, I really want to see that one finished. I've got some small projects that there is no reason that they should be sitting out as long as they do. I need to actually give them a little bit of attention. I still have Stitch for Pride. I never did March's, so I've got March and April that I don't want it to get, I would like to try to stick with that a little bit. It is funny that for Forbidden Fiber Co's, the Empyrean Sal, that I haven't stuck with that, because if you've been with me a while, you know that I did the Ever After last year and Gilmore Girls. I think both of them were last year, where they were a weekly drop, and I stuck with it. I think Gilmore Girls took me a week or two after it was done, just because there were a couple bigger portions, and maybe that's what happened with Ever After as well. But for the most part, every week I stayed up with getting the drop done each week. This one I've barely touched, so. But I get the patterns each week, and then I just save them, and so it's not like, you know, it's gonna expire at all. Excuse me, that one came out of nowhere. I really tried not to do those, but that one just came out of nowhere. Anyways, I don't have any set plans. I just like to stitch. That's about all I can say. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to get to Stitch for Pride, but you know, I'm saving the emails, so the learning is still there, and it'll get done eventually. Again, it's not gonna expire, so I gotta get this wrapped up. Need to go find some caffeine or water. Excuse me, and if you just yawned, I am sorry. If you stuck with me this long, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you sticking around for my rambling. Yeah, hope you got some stitching done. Hope you are doing well. Hope you're staying healthy. If you want to share what you've been stitching on, I would love to hear about it. I got, like I said, I'm on my break, my lunch break, so I gotta wrap this up. I got a couple more hours left of work, and then it's the weekend. I am actually working a couple of hours tomorrow, but I work from home. Nobody else is gonna be working that I know of, so I will put on some music, a TV show, Flosstube, something, and be able to work, get some stuff done without interruptions. So that'll be good. Okay, I gotta get off of here. Keep stitching. Stitch what brings you joy. We'll see you again probably in a couple weeks.